Alright, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be going over your top 5 areas in the FromSoftware games. Now, I'm getting all this information from a new Instagram page that I created called Ziostorm Gaming on Instagram. If you want to be involved with everything there, I'll be doing polls, questions for you guys, all about the Dark Souls games, and sharing a lot of Dark Souls memes that you'll probably find funny, so you'll definitely want to check that out down in the description. No, I wish more than anything I could have a PS5 playing Demon's Souls right now, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get my hands on one at launch, and I don't know when they're going to restock, so keep your eyes out for that. As soon as I can get a PS5, we're going to be hopping on some Demon's Souls. And before we begin, guys, if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. It's really going to help my channel out. We're growing little by little every day, and it's really fun to see all the new people coming in and getting involved with the community. So go ahead and hit that button if you're not already, and let's get into the list. Alright, so how exactly this list is going. Last night I asked on my Instagram what your favorite area in the SOULSBORNE games was, and you guys submitted a lot of really good submissions, and I'm going to be ordering my top 5 from those, so here's the list. Coming in at number 5 is Drangleic Castle. When I first played Dark Souls 2 in Scholar of the First Sin Edition, when I first got to Drangleic Castle, dude, walking up those steps when it's like storming outside and all the rain's falling, and it's making the castle like gleam with that moonlight, dude, that was such an amazing sight. It was a really good contrast to the areas before it. Like, you had the foggy forest that was like really run down and full of all the poison and everything, and then you had the like, I know if you played it the same way I did the gutter and the rotten last, and so that whole area was just like bleak and murky. So finally making it to somewhere that's like important and clean and very regal looking really kind of drove home the fact that this is where we're headed and this is the climax of the game. Now, as for the gameplay in the area, I wasn't too impressed with it. Like, I didn't like the first part where you have to kill the enemies in front of the golems. I mean, I thought that was like really cool looking, but as like a gameplay mechanic, it wasn't a whole lot of fun to play through. And as for the Dragon Rider boss, that was like, I wanted something new and unique to be in the center of the castle, so fighting just 2 rehashed bosses that I've already killed before kinda took some points away from the area for me as a whole. And there's like desert sorceresses in there, like it makes no sense for them to be there. So Drangleic Castle, aesthetics wise, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Gameplay wise, I'm giving it about a 6 out of 10. But Looking Glass Knight, one of my favorite bosses in the game by far. But Drangleic Castle is number 5 on my list. Alright, number 4 on the list. Fountainhead Palace from Sekiro. Fountainhead Palace was another one of those areas that really drove home the feeling of reaching the peak of the game. I mean, if getting picked up by a giant rope monster wasn't a wow factor enough, as soon as you jump down that ledge from the corrupted monk, dude, that sight with like the big sakura tree, and all of the collapsed temples and everything, dude, it honestly took my breath away the first time I got there. But Fountainhead Palace also loses some points for me in the same way the Drangleic Castle does, in that the gameplay there wasn't very fun. I remember getting so frustrated at those enemies that cast the enfeeblement, because it takes away your resurrection, makes you not be able to fight back, and then they just one-shot you, and that crap was so freaking annoying, man. And then just like Drangleic Castle, it has 2 rehashed bosses actually. You've got the Sakura Bull, which is just a reskin of the Blazing Bull, and then you've got another Shichiman Warrior. And I don't like it when they do that. So Fountainhead Palace, aesthetics, 9 out of 10 for me. Gameplay, probably about a 7 out of 10. And that's why it's coming in on number 4 on my list. Alright, number 3 is the Sanctuary from Dark Souls 1 in the DLC. Now this place was by far one of my favorite aesthetics in the whole game. The Sanctuary Guardian, the boss you fight when you first get there, dude, that thing looks so cool, and the arena is just awesome. Like, you've got the sun coming in, there's a little bit of water on the ground. Everything is just so beautiful. And then once you go into the forest, you've got that like orange light coming in from the sunset, and it's like casting on the trees and the ground, and all the enemies are like covered in grass and everything. Everything just fits so well, and it's all so original. The area has no rehashed bosses, no rehashed enemies, and you've actually got the best boss in the whole game in my opinion, which is Artorias. And I'm sure everybody agrees on that. So for me, the Sanctuary, aesthetics 8 out of 10, gameplay 9 out of 10, and that's why it comes in on number 3 on my list. Okay, number 2, the Painted World of Ariamis. Now if we're talking about wow factors that took my breath away, this is the one that did it for me. as soon as I got here into that room in Anor Londo with the big painting, dude, like no exaggeration, I was literally in awe of that. It was so freaking beautiful and so cool. Like I sat there and I just looked up at that painting for probably a whole 5 minutes. And I just loved the idea of having this whole world secluded behind a painting. And it made sense in the Dark Souls universe. And it was just such a cool concept to me. I was just so entranced by this whole thing. Snowy castles are like one of my favorite aesthetics in all of like fantasy and that kind of thing. And so you can see why I would have liked this so much. And gameplay wise, this was a freaking blast to play through, man. The level is designed so well. The progression through the level felt natural, and it felt like I was the one hunting through it and discovering everything for my own. And I wasn't being like guided through it, if that kind of makes sense. I'm not sure how to like properly describe that, but I think you know what I mean. And in my opinion, Priscilla is one of the top 5 like coolest bosses in the game for me. So the painted world gets a 10 out of 10 for aesthetics for me, and a 9 out of 10 for gameplay. And that is why it's number 2 on the list. So some honorable mentions before we get into number 1, and you can probably guess what number 1's going to be. I bet you all know it. But for some honorable mentions, we have the Dragon Area, by far one of the most beautiful areas in Dark Souls 2, if not the most beautiful. Frozen Aleum Lois, my favorite area in all of Dark Souls right there, but it wasn't on y'all's list, so I didn't put it on here. And then the Fishing Hamlet from Bloodborne. Now I haven't played Bloodborne, so I couldn't properly rate that. That's why I didn't put it on this list. But I know a lot of people really like that area, so I'm putting it as an honorable mention. And now number 1, you all know what it is, Anor Londo. Now if you go on any Dark Souls group, you ask them what their favorite area is, probably 9 out of 10 times it's going to be Anor Londo, and we all know why. It is so beautiful once you fly from the dilapidated Sin's Fortress, and you see this golden, like majestic city, sitting right in front of the sunset. It's just such an amazing sight, and it's definitely the climax of Dark Souls as a whole. Now, Anor Londo by far has the best aesthetics in Dark Souls, and gameplay wise, it's one of the most fun levels to play through. And it's fitting that Smo and Ornstein are the boss here, because Smo and Ornstein is kind of like the challenge. It's that point where, if you've played through Dark Souls this far, this is going to be the most trying test that you've had to go through in the game. It's that defining moment that separates the flock that try to play through Dark Souls. Like, if you haven't beaten Smo and Ornstein, you're probably not going to finish the game. But if you do beat them, you're one of the people that is going to conquer this game because you were able to master all the skills you needed to get past the hardest challenge so far. So, Anor Londo, aesthetics wise, 10 out of 10. Gameplay wise, 10 out of 10. And that is why it's number 1 on the list of my favorite areas in the Dark Souls franchise. So, I want to know, what is your favorite area from the FromSoft games? Dark Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne, any game that they've come out with yet, even Demon's Souls. Now, I haven't played Bloodborne or Demon's Souls. I cannot wait to get my hands on a PS5 so I can play those games with y'all. But if you did enjoy the video, guys, be sure to drop a like on it and subscribe if you're not already if you want to see more of my content. Doing that is really going to help me grow this channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.
I let her test drive out in the west side. She get my best side. Girl, I know you see it coming on your timeline. You're just like fine wine.